So I know you guys wanted me to do a hero tier list, and in this video we're doing just that. A lot of YouTubers have done videos like this one, and there is a regular chimps tier list being maintained on the Reddit on a patch-to-patch basis with input from a lot of players. Now besides the usual chimps rankings, you can make a tier list out of anything actually. There's this alphabetical hero tier list, which I completely agree with, by the way. This tier list based on smell, the tier list based on if their families still recognize them after the war, it just goes on. In my tier list, however, I'll try and rank the heroes based on a lot of criteria, like how fun they are to play with, how good they currently are, including but not limited to chimps mode, because obviously there is more to BTD6 than chimps. Are they worth buying and stuff like that? So the overall score and ranking that each hero gets will be basically how good I think each hero is in BTD6. I'll try to keep everything short because we do have a lot of heroes to cover, and also please remember that this tier list is my opinion only. You don't have to agree with this, and is more about what I think about each hero in the game as a whole rather than one game mode or one specific scenario or something like that. So starting with Quincy, I like him a lot actually. I think Quincy is an amazing hero overall in BTD6. He's newbie friendly, he's good for chimp starts, allows you to start farming early, which is something that I like a lot. And a built-in camo detection at level 5, that's something that is always gonna bump up some heroes up the list for me, because I really appreciate not having to buy camo or camo reveal in the early rounds. So Quincy, amazing hero, solid DPS, solid early game, camo, good to start with on a lot of maps, and I like his level 10 ability also, which helps clear out around 76, and bow ceramic waves on 78 with one button, so I'm gonna give Quincy A tier. Next up is Gwen. Not a huge favorite of mine, but the recent changes have made her more interesting to play around with her heated up ability being able to achieve 100% uptime now. I haven't gotten 100% uptime on it ever, I think, but the buff is just so good that I think she deserves a higher tier just for that. She's kinda whatever on chimps, not a first choice for anyone I think, but the lead popping power is good and she can deal with camos with your cocktails, so that's a plus. I'm gonna give Gwen a B tier. And honestly, this is as far as she's ever been in my rankings, besides that time when we had like 5 heroes and she was the best one. I need to test her out more on the later rounds, especially versus DDTs, but for now, B tier seems to be the right place for her. Next up is Oben. So Oben was once an S tier hero for me, but now, even though I use him on some maps, I think he's not going farther than B or C tier. The thing with Oben is that he got nerfed so hard in a lot of patches, and now there are just simply better choices than him. I still think he's decent, but the nerf to his price, his totem slowing Moab class Bloons for 50% of the values, you can no longer have 2 totems I think, and they even used to stack. And the nerf to the bonus he provides to magic monkeys is something that makes Oben go down for me from S tier to B tier I think. He's still amazing, he can solo a lot of the early rounds and you can start farming. The lead popping power is always welcome, but he's nothing special and not much fun to play with in my opinion, so he gets a B tier for that. So Striker Jones is a D tier hero for me. I'm just gonna place him right now. I feel like this guy is decent on chimps mode after a lot of recent buffs, but I just can't play with the guy. He feels horrible, I don't know why. Like, he's useful, but it's not fun having him as a hero. He has a slow attack speed, terrible early popping power. He's not meant as an DPS hero, for sure. He's meant as a support tower, I think. But supporting mortars and bomb shooters is not really fun. I think my aversion to Striker Jones comes not only from his skill set, but also from the towers he's enabling, because I always associate the mortar with micro and the bomb shooters with stun and this slow gameplay, so it's like, why bother? I feel like he's super useful on chimps though, especially with the correct towers and the recent buffs to his concussive shell ability, which is now basically a poor man's Bloon Crush, I guess. So not too bad for something that costs a couple $100, but still gets D tier, because this is the hero that I don't want to play with unless I'm forced to. Okay, now that we're done with the free heroes, let's start with the ones that we have to unlock. So Benjamin is a hero that I like a lot for a lot of reasons. First off, he gives me money to buy towers, and I like money to buy towers, so therefore I like Benjamin. And I think this is the case with every single player that uses Benjamin. And he gets bonus points for being useful on half cash and basically any other game mode, right, besides chimps and deflation. Something that I like about Benjamin, and I'm not sure if people know this, but when you're playing on a half cash map, not only he's good because he's making you money, but he can allow you to beat around 63, 76 and 78 without any issues if you can time your abilities. His cooldowns are perfectly aligned, especially for 63, and I love this so much about him. So here's what you do on 63 with Ben as your hero. The first ceramic wave you use biohack, the second ceramic wave you use the siphon ability, and by the time the third ceramic wave is gonna come, the biohack will be up again. So you have 3 abilities for each ceramic wave. No other hero can do this. And around 76, of course, you can downgrade the rainbows, downgrade 2 rainbows with the siphon, and you can do this with both ceramic waves around 78. He's also super fun to play with, I think, and makes farming a lot easier for casual players that can't really balance between farming and DPS that much. And I feel like he's one of the favorites among the community as well, so Ben easily gets A tier for me. Next up is Churchill. So Churchill is a hero that does a lot of DPS, as you guys already know, but my thing with Churchill is that I always have somewhere else to spend $2,000 than him. For example, I would always go for a 100 farm instead of buying Churchill, because that farm in the long run is gonna pay out more than the hero. He's a fun hero to play with though. He's very satisfying when you click his armor piercing shells on a straight line, or his level 10 ability on round 95 and everything evaporates. And you can buff him and leave him attack, and he's gonna probably beat medium or hard mode on some maps even by himself. So he's not a favorite of mine, but he's definitely useful, and I think that this mentality of trying to be efficient is what's stopping me from ranking Churchill higher than C tier. So that is why Churchill will get C tier. Azeali is the first F tier hero. I'm not a fan of Azeali besides her being useful on ABR. But if you have decent monkey knowledge or Benjamin, I don't think anyone is going for Azeali, honestly. A pretty boring hero to play, abilities feel underwhelming, and besides niche uses like maybe a challenge where you want to go ultra late game for her Moab Hex ability, this one is a hero that I don't want to play with unless I'm forced to, just like Striker Jones. But Jones is better on Chimps mode than Azeali, and I think that's why she should get F tier. I'm definitely not a fan of Azeali, although she has her uses, I guess. Next up is Pat Fusty. Now, Pat is a hero that I don't use a lot, but I appreciate what he does. His level 3 ability is just flat out insane, and when he starts stunning Moab class balloons later on, he's just that much better. He's like the better version of Striker Jones on Chimps, which stuns but also buffs not only mortars and bomb shooters, but literally everything else around him. I don't really have much to say about Pat Fusty, not particularly a fun hero for me. I'm not using him too much, but if you're looking for a guy to help you out on Chimps mode, especially on those harder maps, this is your guy. And he gets B tier just for that. Next up is Dora. So Dora, in my opinion, is a very fun hero to play with, but not my first choice because there are heroes that do what she does, but a lot better. So the idea behind Dora is DPS, and that's pretty much it. She does incredibly well in the early to mid game, and I honestly haven't tested this out, but with the recent buffs to her Ball of Light, she might even be decent later on. She gets bonus points for her ability to transform along with the Vengeful True Sun God. I think that's a nice experience for everyone. And I think a lot of players like Dora for her simplicity. I think she's this casual player friendly hero, and I think I'll give Dora C tier, but I think a lot of you guys would rank her a lot higher than that. Okay, 3 more left. So Brickle is a hero I'm not a fan of because we're limited to using her on water. Her damage is kind of underwhelming unless she has a lot of sea mines built up, but then even if she does, like one fast balloon can trigger all of them, so that's a bummer. She's a niche hero though, something like Striker Jones but for water-based towers, which currently is unfortunately only 2 towers. So unless you're doing a water-based strategy or playing on a map like Spy Silence maybe or something like that, Brickle is not really useful in my opinion, nor fun to play with. She gets D tier next to Striker Jones because of her limited use and being just super boring to play with. Next up is Etienne. I have huge respect for Etienne just from Chimps mode, and I would give him S tier just for that. But as I mentioned earlier, I think BT6 is more than just Chimps and is how fun the hero is to play with, which I imagine a lot of players won't even consider playing with Etienne unless they have to. Underwhelming early game damage, ability reliant, and whenever I play with him, I always feel like he's lacking behind until he levels up. Like, a hero is supposed to be doing more than what he's doing, that's what I feel like. His level 8 ability is amazing and gets so strong later on, it's not even funny. So if this was a chimps tier list, I would probably be giving him S tier, but it's not, so he's gonna get A tier for that. And Sada, currently a favorite of mine, and I'm very biased towards Sada. Not very useful on maps with more than one track because of her melee range, but boy is she fun to play with. She checks all the boxes for me: camo, a lot of damage in all stages of the game, she can pop lead with her ability, and later on. You can start farming early, she does damage per second, extra damage to fortified camo and regrow, and I love her level 11 ability, which, if you guys don't know, if she hits a balloon that is slowed or immobilized, she will do extra damage to it. So interesting combos possible with a glue or an ice tower or a bomb shooter, right? Buff her up and she becomes OP. You can start with her on chimps mode, and she is this undiscovered talent, I think, for ABR and half cash as well. She's like the fun hero Churchill wants to be. So Sada is the first and currently the only hero to get S tier for me. I really like what they did with her, and I hope this nerf that's inevitably gonna happen doesn't affect her too much. So there you go, that's my hero tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and tell me below, what do you think about my list? Would you rank up or down some heroes? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.